It's Thursday, September 1st. Tonight, how the Jordan Lake Dam is preparing to go green. Next, North Carolina Now.
Quality public television is made possible through the financial contributions of viewers like you, who invite you to join them in supporting UNC TV.
Good evening, I'm Jeff Smith. Thanks for joining us. Tonight on North Carolina Now, Lynn Minges of the North Carolina Department of Commerce will give us an update on how our state's beaches are ready for the holiday weekend, despite last weekend's visit from Hurricane Irene. And we'll preview this week's episode of North Carolina Book Watch, and the Carrboro Band, Mandolin Orange, will share a song with us. But we begin in Chatham County. Every day, groups are looking into new ways to create green energy. I found one group in Chatham County that is using a man-made lake to create clean energy. For years, water has released itself from the hold of Jordan Lake and returned to the Haw River and points down east. Now, one group of energy enthusiasts is looking at a way to take the water that's being let out of the lake and turn a profit.
We've been in the hydropower development business since 1980, and we began working on this project in '93, and as usual, the first few years were occupied in getting the environmental issues answered, and then we actually received a license from the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission in '97.
Jim Price is with the Jordan Hydroelectric Limited Partnership and is the man behind the construction project at the south end of Jordan Lake. His group tried to find a way to build a hydropower system at the reservoir in 1997, but put the project on hold because of the lack of financial incentives.
In about 2007, there had been a sufficient increase in the power rate, and then some of the tax benefits that were put in place in 2005 were very important, and so we were able to move ahead. We came up with a new plan, and we had to revise our environmental stuff. So we basically began dealing with the Corps about the details of construction in 2007, and then we started on the site here in late 2010.
Now the project is well underway, and construction crews are retrofitting the dam tower to accommodate the workings of a hydropowered electrical production facility.
As far as we know, this is one of a kind. There's other applications at different sites. They have some variations. Some can be used, some they cannot. It's dependent upon the geometry of the concrete tower itself. This is small hydro. Most of them are very custom orientated to meet the needs of the clients, trying to control costs. That's usually the biggest goal.
Paul Sear and Andy Feemster are responsible for actually getting Price's project from idea to reality. To build this, though, there were many requirements that had to be met by environmental groups, cities and counties that use the lake for drinking water supplies, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, who own the dam and manage the lake.
We've been through about 2 years of design to try to figure out how to put turbine generating equipment into an existing structure. And this is a facility that's owned by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and it's a heavily regulated bureaucracy, as you can imagine. We had to come up with designs that minimally impacted the structure. We had to prove designs that it wouldn't adversely affect anything out here. And it's basically trying to put in as large a generating unit as you can get in the size permitted by the existing structure.
The actual idea behind a hydropowered dam project like this one is simple. Take a large water supply with a controlled location where the water is released, like a dam, and then put some sort of device in the way of the water that will turn from the water's force, and that will create electricity.
But the operation of the plant will be just as it is now. The water control people in Wilmington with the Corps decide what release needs to come out of the dam, and there'll be no difference, and it'll just be spinning a turbine rather than just blowing out, and the energy lost will be recouping that energy.
The system being installed at Jordan Lake is only a 4.4 megawatt production facility. That's not a lot in the grand scheme of a larger production facilities like the Sharon Harris Nuclear Facility just down the road from the lake.
This is a small hydro project. There's not a lot of power potential from Jordan Dam, and it really requires kind of a niche market approach, which is what a small company like ours brings.
The Jordan Hydro Dam project will sell its energy to Progress Energy and will connect to the local power grid, which runs next to the dam. Price says he is looking forward to having the first watts making its way out of the water and onto the power lines, but he knows how difficult this process has been.
It's a difficult development process for several reasons. For one thing, it's not really subsidized very much up front. After you're generating, you're in business, you get some tax credits, which are certainly useful. But to get started, to get it built, there's really not much in the way of outside help.
The end result of this project will be a small, green energy producer on a lake designed by man to meet the needs of the people in the Triangle. And to learn more about the Jordan Lake Hydro Project, you can log on to our website at unctv.org/ncnow and click on the link we have to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers webpage describing the project. In statewide headlines, 7 North Carolina counties have been approved for federal disaster assistance following Hurricane Irene. Those counties are Beaufort, Carteret, Craven, Dare, Hyde, Pamlico, and Terrell counties. Business owners should assess and document the damage to their properties and contact their insurance provider to file a claim. To apply for federal disaster aid, contact FEMA to register. The application can be done online at disasterassistance.gov or by phone at 1-800-621-3362. Applicants with speech or hearing difficulties can use a TTY line by calling 1-800-462-7585. The North Carolina Department of Commerce also has a toll-free phone line. Operators there will connect callers with counselors who can help business owners assess their needs and prepare a Small Business Administration disaster loan application. That phone number is 1-800-228-8443. Governor Bev Perdue today announced that she has secured federal approval for Halifax and Lenoir counties to be added to the federal disaster declaration in North Carolina. This enables families and business owners to seek low-interest loans or grants to help them recover from Hurricane Irene. The latest authorization brings the total of approved counties to 9. The state also requested that 20 counties be added to its federal disaster declaration request for public assistance. The IRS is extending deadlines to the counties that have been declared disaster areas. Taxpayers who had previously gained extensions until September 15th now have until October 31st to file their 2010 returns. Individuals who had been granted extensions until October 17th and individuals scheduled to pay their third quarter tax estimates also have until October 31st to file their returns. With the Labor Day holiday upon us, AAA Carolinas estimates over 1 million North Carolina and South Carolina travelers will take the roads this weekend. Many of those people are expected to go to the beaches, not only for a vacation respite, but also to see how they fared in the wake of Hurricane Irene. Now, to learn more about that very issue and how our state's beaches are ready for those visitors, I talked earlier today with North Carolina Department of Commerce Assistant Secretary Lynn Minges. So everybody wants to know, are the beaches open?
Yes, Jeff, the beaches of North Carolina are open for visitors. We had a rough weekend last weekend as Hurricane Irene blew through, but today along the beaches there are inviting breezes blowing. We hope folks will take advantage of that and get on back down to the beaches.
Now, the entire coastline is not accessible right now, but the majority is. It's not a shutdown system like you said.
That's right. We have 300 miles of coastline in North Carolina, a very long, extensive coast that runs from the border on the border of South Carolina up to Virginia. So we have 300 miles of coastline, and all but just a very small portion of that is open and accessible to visitors. The portion that is not accessible is Hatteras and Ocracoke Island, simply because Highway 12, the famous Highway 12, has been breached there, and we're waiting for some for those repairs to be made so that folks can get back on those islands. But right now, literally, almost all of the 300 miles of coastline of North Carolina are open and ready for visitors.
And we're seeing pictures right now that have been taken since Irene. That shows you how gorgeous it is right now at the beach.
It really is. There's never been a better time to go to the coast of North Carolina. You know, the interesting thing is that the coast really is most beautiful after a storm. We had lots and lots of rain, so the vegetation there is beautiful, bright green. The skies are clear, beautiful blue. We're hearing great weather forecasts for the weekend. And we've had our state photographer down there. He's the guy who takes all those promotional shots that we use in advertisements and on our website that really market the state around the world. He's been down this week. This week, taking some absolutely gorgeous shots of the coast of North Carolina, with folks back on our beaches, out boating, fishing, enjoying all the kinds of things that families like to do along our coast. And I think your viewers can see that it really is beautiful there right now.
I know a lot of my friends on social media, they've been posting pictures of how many shells they're finding even on the beach. It's unusual, but that's typical after a storm.
That is true, and I think in some of the images that your folks may see there, or may also see those for themselves on visitnc.com, there are gorgeous shells down there. We've had a lot of folks on social media sending pictures of those shells back to us this weekend, and they really are pretty, so we hope that folks will get down there soon before they're all gone.
Let's talk about the website, because that is an important part for information to get out right now that you're using, to let people know where they can go, where they can't go, and what's happening, keep everybody updated. That's
right, Jeff. They can go to visitnc.com, and there we've worked really hard all week to make folks aware of what is open and what's closed. We've got all the advisories and things that we've known about throughout the storm, but right now it literally lists almost everything that is open and accessible to visitors. They can go there, they can plan their trip, they can get information about any particular closings, businesses that have been affected and aren't open, but most of that is, and we hope that they'll go there and plan a trip to get away this fall.
One important thing that people might not really realize here is that, yeah, the beaches are open, but what that really means is that the businesses are open.
That's right. The tourism industry in this state supports about 40,000 businesses across North Carolina. It's a pretty big business. Visitors coming in spend about $17 billion in North Carolina annually. We're the 6th most visited state in America. So tourism is not the only part of our economy that's important, but it's a pretty important part of our state's economy. We estimate that on the coast right now, visitors are spending about $7 million a day. So we already know that we lost a few days of business when we were preparing for and evacuating before the storm. So it's real important now to get folks back into those communities and back into those businesses, to restore business as normal, to get folks back to business as normal. And I think getting people back down to the coast will certainly help those businesses all along our coastal region.
And we don't want to take away from the rest of the state. The rest of the state, please visit there as well.
Oh, absolutely. Labor Day is, the end of the summer season, but we're already ramping up for fall. We do a big push to try to get people to travel in the fall, too. We have wonderful fall foliage in the western part of the state, festivals and events that will be taking place all over the state this fall. Lots of things to see and do. Fall fishing is great along our coastline. So plenty of things to do in the state, not just right now for Labor Day, but really throughout the fall season.
And again, just to reiterate, on your website, you'll update people when they know that if they want to go to Hatteras, when that's available again, to get out there and be able to visit there, or Ocracoke, and then of course all the other beaches that are open right now.
That's right, Jeff. And we hope that as folks are out and about this weekend that they'll send us pictures on Facebook or Twitter. We're loving to get those, and we'll post those up. So send us pictures of your family having fun on a North Carolina beach this weekend.
So it's time to get out and visit and have a good long weekend for Labor Day.
Absolutely. That's where I'm headed, to the coast of North Carolina.
Well, thank you so much for being here and updating us on how the coast is open for business. And thanks for being here on North Carolina Now as usual.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks.
The State Department of Public Instruction announced yesterday that school districts laid off more than 530 teachers ahead of last week's start of the new school year. In total, 2,400 education workers have lost their jobs. An education agency survey shows that over the past 4 years, nearly 6,100 people have been laid off and over 16,000 positions eliminated in the education system. Meanwhile, the State Board of Education agreed today to speed up the approval process for applicants who demonstrate they can successfully operate a charter school by next August. This may aid groups who had already gone through the approval process before being blocked by a statewide cap. That cap was removed in June, so schools aiming to avoid the lengthy planning period for new applicants must be approved by an advisory council, which was approved by the State School Board today. And now here's a look at tomorrow's weather. We'll see a bit of a warm-up for the start of the weekend with high temperatures in the mid-80s to low 90s. Skies will be partly to mostly sunny statewide. The Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P all ended the day with losses. Now here's a look at what happened on Wall Street today. The Carrboro-based band Mandolin Orange has been gaining critical acclaim for their unique blend of folk, bluegrass, and Americana music. Emily France and Andrew Marlin recently stopped by our studio to perform the song Birds of a Feather from their upcoming album, Hard Hearted Stranger.
It'd sure be fine to sit and pine together, but no feather in the wind ever did intend us to pretend and work so hard to try and mend a broken heart. I'd say what we're looking for, we'll always ask for more, 'cause feathers fall and fly, but I am no stranger to you now. The same old friend, you'll find me when it ends. All the love we share can sink a ship. The ends of earth to tip it all in time. And it leaves me asking why we see it under, through and through, and live out in the blue all of our days, mourning the love we made. We'll hang your head and cry, look down that lonely road, and know that I'm the same old friend. You'll find me when it ends. Yes, it'd sure be fine to sit and pine together. Will it ever be the same? Well, it's rather hard to say, 'cause feathers fall and fly, but I am no stranger to you now. The same old friend, you'll find me when it ends.
Mandolin Orange will be performing next week in Raleigh as part of the Independent Weekly's Hopscotch Music Festival. To learn more about the band, you can visit their Facebook page, and for more information about the festival, visit hopscotchmusicfest.com. Author Steve Berry's new book is based on the idea that a secret society of pirates helped George Washington win the Revolutionary War. Mr. Berry recently sat down with North Carolina Book Watch host D.G. Martin to talk about the Jefferson Key.
So Andrew Jackson, this rough and ready military man from North Carolina and Tennessee, somewhere along the line got to be sophisticated enough to develop this idea about the code.
It's even more interesting than that. This is true. The man who gave Jefferson the cipher was a man named Robert Patterson, and he gave it to him. Robert Patterson's son worked for Andrew Jackson. This is true. And when I discovered that connection, I went, this is too good. I got to use that. So that's where it came from. And so Jackson, who's very angry at the Commonwealth, who are my pirates.
The Commonwealth is the name of this group of families who got the legal right, the legal right.
They tried to kill Jackson. And he's,
now these are people who are, they've got a license to attack the enemies of the United States, but they don't have a license to attack the president.
Not
but
at
they
all.
do. How do you explain that?
That's how I tie in presidential assassinations. There's 4 presidential assassinations that happened in this country, and I tied them all in for the same reason. In other words, these presidents were killed for the same reason, and I was able to link them up with my Commonwealth. Now that's part of the fiction of the book, but it was pretty fun to do because it fit very nicely. It all fit in there pretty nice, and I just hypothesized that there were 4 presidents along the way that just wouldn't play ball. They just wouldn't play ball. And when they wouldn't play ball, the Commonwealth did what pirates do. That's what pirates do. And they took care of that. Now, no one knows that but the members of the Commonwealth. They kept that pretty tight. But Jackson wouldn't play ball either. They went after Jackson, but they failed. There was an attempt on Andrew Jackson's life in 1835. It was the first time a president had ever been threatened with his life, and it failed. And so I used that, and I opened the book with that. And that's what got Jackson very angry with these guys.
And then he ripped the pages
out,
which is this was an interesting part, and I wonder what basis you had to make Jackson someone who would tease in this sense of establishing a mystery that would drive his enemies crazy.
What he said is he has a note that he writes to them, and what he says in the note is, look, I ought to just tear these up and throw them away. But if I do that, what will happen is you'll have no reason not to come and kill me or any other president to do. So I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a shot at it. So it'll occupy your time, and you can go look for this. And this will give you something to go look for. Now, he was very confident that it would never be found because of the perfect cipher that Thomas Jefferson had. So he was very confident. And he was right. They never found it. They didn't find it until now, so that's how I explained it.
That's great.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about your characters, and I haven't really pushed you to talk about the pirate, the privateer, Quentin Hale, enough. And I'd like for you to illustrate for us, as you do in the book, his pirate personality when it came to punishing people who betrayed him.
Oh yes, and those are all real. I have
What do you mean?
Those are real tortures
from old days.
From the old days, yes.
But this is a guy doing it in the modern time.
Yeah, there's a traitor there's a scene in The Traitor in the book, and they have to set an example. People who violate all pirates work by articles. You signed your articles with the rules whereby the pirate community governed themselves. When you broke the articles, you paid the price. Someone in here does it, and they punish him by something called woodling. Woodling was very awful.
I hesitate to have you describe woodling, but can you do this in a way that's acceptable for family television?
2 sticks with a rope tied between the sticks. You put it between the head, and you start twisting the sticks until finally, it twists up to it touches your head. Then they start turning, and they start turning. And as they turn, the rope gets tighter and tighter and tighter. The pressure builds in your skull. Now, it won't kill you, but what it'll do, it literally pops your eyeballs out. Your eyeballs literally come out of their sockets if you get enough pressure in there.
So it's just plain out torture.
It's plain out, just flat out torture.
So
and that's how they did it. That was exactly what they did. The gibbet is real. It's an iron cage that was used. Now that was used on the pirates themselves. That was sort of a reverse one that was used on them. So that was real.
What is
the gibbet is an iron cage made to fit your body, and you would basically be hung from that, and you'd be hung up until you starve and die, and you just rot inside the gibbet. And then we did the thing of, the last one was the one that we did was the candling, which was kind of interesting. That was the most bizarre one to me, in which they had the mast, the center mast, and they would put candles around the mast, and then the prisoner would have to circle the mast, and everyone standing around with something in their hands to whack him with. And they just keep whacking him with that as he goes around and around and around. Not hard, just enough. And after a while, it literally just beats them down because they get wore out because they have to keep moving because they're constantly getting hit. And the candle creates heat. It's a really, they were very imaginative in what they did.
Quentin Hale, the lead bad guy, I guess, in the book, in many ways is just like one of our colleagues who can make his way in society, can sell, can charm, but he has this pirate instinct that allows him to.
It's in his blood, and I wanted to do that. I wanted to create this guy, and I made him like they used to be. But he also has to function in today's society, and so he's very much, though, out of place. And you'll see in the end, eventually it catches up to him.
And you can see all of DG's conversation with author Steve Berry tomorrow night at 9:30 and again on Sunday at 5. That's our show for tonight. Thanks for watching. Have a good evening, everyone.
Quality public television is made possible through the financial contributions of viewers like you, who invite you to join them in supporting UNC TV.